Hey everybody, welcome to episode 54 of the Fiberista Files. Today is Tuesday, November 1st. Happy November, everybody. I hope you survived Halloween all right. I had it very easy. I didn't turn my light on and didn't have any trick-or-treaters. It was kind of nice. I do have show notes today. I will tell you right now that 70% of this podcast is going to be grabby hands. So, we're going to be a little light on the knitting content this week. I hope you'll forgive me. If you see the pretties, I'm sure you will. So stay tuned, because all the good stuff's at the end. Alright, week in review. It's been about a week since I podcasted. My husband did come down last week instead of me going back up to the mountains, which is kind of nice once in a while. I'm able to get a lot more work done here on the weekends if he comes down. He's a little bored and I feel kind of guilty about that, but all my supplies are down here, so I can get a lot of work done. And on Sunday, in fact, I did get a lot of work done, so it was good. Thursday day, my husband texted me and said, "My ears are freaking freezing. When do you think you can get me that lined beanie that you promised me?" Because the original lined beanie pattern, which I'll talk about in a bit, was meant for him, but it ended up being the smaller size and it fit me perfectly, so he needed one that was a little bit bigger. So I kept promising him, and then I cast on the My Wish shawl, which uses the same needles. But anyways, it got cold here in Maine very quickly this fall, and so he works outside all day, so he had asked for the beanie, so I dropped everything I was working on and cast on the beanie, and I'm still working on the beanie. I'll talk more about that in knitting, but so that was Thursday. Friday he came down, we relaxed, took it easy, didn't do a whole lot. We watched a movie or something, I don't really remember. Saturday we had kind of a busy day. We went to Kilby Ridge Farm, which is in Dennisville, Maine. I'll talk more about that later, again in grabby hands. But we spent part of the day there. We got there at about 10:15, and we were there probably until 1. Katie from Knitting on the Fly was there as well. She met us there, and we hung out for a little bit. We didn't get to podcast, unfortunately, because she didn't come down here, but it was good. It was really good to see Katie. I had been missing her hard, so it was really good to get together. So hopefully sooner rather than later, we'll have some time to get together. I'm hoping when her plane goes down for maintenance again, which will be probably, at the rate she's been working, will probably be in December. If she gets a week off, I'm hoping she'll come to the apartment and we'll hang out and get some stuff done. So hopefully a podcast. And then Saturday night we went to the Haunted Trail, which is a local event here on the coast. One of my students actually owns and operates the Haunted Trail. He does all the work himself. He has friends help him, but it's his plan. It's his baby. He's been doing it since he was in the 7th grade. Totally free. He does take donations. It was a big deal this year. They had a guy come with one of those trailers that like you see at the fairs and stuff that does all the frying, the foods and everything. So they had like a concessions area, and they had a scary movie playing on a big screen, and they had tour guides that would take you all the way up through the trail. I was very fortunate that I was not recognized until the very end of the trail, so I didn't get it much worse than everybody else did. The kids were pretty disappointed that they weren't able to like make it 10 times worse for me, but they really put in a lot of work on that. Like, it was clear how hard they'd worked to make a really good experience for everybody who went through. So I didn't scream. I wasn't really scared. The only part that kept jumping me was they had a guy who had a chainsaw, and the blade was off, but still, he was super dark clothes, and he would sneak up on you and you couldn't see. Like, you'd go around a corner, and all of a sudden you'd get there, and he'd pull that chain and start the chainsaw and jump the crap out of you. So they really did a good job. I was very impressed. We had the snowstorm come in overnight Saturday night and all day Sunday. So Sunday night they didn't have the trail, but they did have it again last night, and they were expecting a good turnout. So it was a good time. I enjoyed it. And then, so our Sunday, the weather came. It started out with rain. It started to snow. We were supposed to get 4 to 8 inches of snow. We ended up getting like 1.5 inches of wet, slushy snow. It was really not a big deal. But the weatherman had all said that it was going to be this big, huge storm, so we stayed inside. We kind of hung out, didn't do a whole lot. I did a lot of dyeing. I had 5 dye pots going and the power went off. So what do you do when the power goes off and you've got 5 things going? You say screw it and you take a nap. And that's exactly what I did. Took like a nap for like an hour, hour and a half, and the power came back on, and oven came back on, and I kept right on dyeing. So it was good. He brought me my mail that I'd received last week. Again, that will be in grabby hands. I also have already received some very epic mail this week that will be coming down to the coast. He's going to come down again this weekend, so we'll come this weekend. I'm not home to get it, which is sad, but it will be coming to me soon. So you'll see all that next week. Okay. Knitting. Guess who doesn't have an FO? Still don't have an FO. Baby sweater still has one sleeve to knit. I was very busy Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday getting stuff ready to dye and scanning and doing all that stuff, so I didn't get a chance to knit. And then on Thursday, my husband asked me for the beanie. That's what I've been knitting on, so nothing is finished at all. This is why I wasn't originally going to tell you folks about my knitting. This is why this podcast was not going to have any knitting content, because I knit so slowly and I finish things so rarely. I will show you the hat that I'm working on. This is the lined beanie pattern. The lined beanie pattern is now available as a free Ravelry download. Give me that. This is a very simple pattern. It's almost more recipe than pattern. Like, I have stitch count numbers on there, but it's really not anything major. This is knit out of Bartlett yarns. Worsted weight is a 2-ply worsted weight from their historic mill in Harmony, Maine. You can see I've got the bottom of it, and then there's the purl ridge right here, and I'm on the first stripe. My husband wanted almost exactly the same as the last one, only he wanted the gray stripe to start a little bit closer to the bottom. So if it looks huge, that's because it is huge. It's a huge hat. But when it's folded, the brim is folded up, it makes the hat much tighter. The women's size is 96 stitches, I think, and the men's size is 112. I'd have to look at the pattern. My own pattern, the one that I wrote, I don't know. So it's 10 rows of gray, and then it will be 4 rows of blue, another 10 rows of gray, and then the rest will be in blue. So if I have time after I'm done dyeing tonight, maybe I'll get lucky and be able to bang out another stripe. We'll see. This needs to get done this week, so I will have an FO, but you won't see it next week because my husband will take it home with him. So, but that's the lined beanie pattern. Very simple. I'm very impressed. I already have 11 projects on Ravelry with this, including at least 2 that are not my test knitters. They are people who found it on Ravelry and knit it up. That's awesome. Super impressed with that. I'm just very pleased with the response the hat has received. So I didn't really think it was anything very earth-shattering, but if it fits the bill for a lot of people, that's great. So, I did not work on, oh, this is on US 5, by the way, which is a very tight gauge for a hat, but I was going for windproof, hence the reason it was lined, so it's kind of tight. I have not worked on the sweater, the sock yarn baby sweater. I have not worked on the My Wish. In fact, those are needles for the My Wish. I had to take them off of the My Wish shawl and put them on this. I have not worked on anything. That's been it. So boring. Sorry. Spinning, I did get something finished. Sorry for the crinkling. You're going to hear a little bit of crinkle. What I got done was the Southdown fiber, which is part of my fleece study. This was the first fiber that I spun out of the sampler pack. You'll notice it looks a little bit pink in places. It's because there was dye in the pot when I soaked it. But you should be able to see here that, come on, freaking focus. The yarn looks pretty good. It's a standard 2-ply. I got just under 100 yards. Nope, sorry, just under 200 yards. No, wait. I think I was right the first time. I got like 96 yards out of the 2-ply. That's pretty good for me, especially with a fiber that is as lofty and smushy as this. I don't know if you can see, but it's It's got to be a heavy fingering, almost a sport weight. It's it's very fluffy. There's a lot of smush in this. Um, there's a lot of give to this fiber. It's very smushy, very collapsible, very um, lofty. There's not a lot of really good yarn definition. Like the strands aren't really defined. It's just kind of fuzzy. Not so much fuzzy like Angora is fuzzy, but fuzzy is in poor definition. I'm okay with that. I don't have a problem with that. It make a nice, good fabric. I just can't get over the smush. Smushy, smushy. Like, well, how much? I mean, this yarn has so much smush. It's like unbelievable. Like, I literally can't believe it. It can't be, but it is. Really enjoyed South Down Fiber, and I definitely recommend it. I'm going to write up the rest of that information on the blog, and it will be available then. The Navajo churro is all washed and dried. It just needs to be combed and spun up. That won't be done until the line beading is done either. Maybe this weekend if I'm very lucky. We'll see. Dye pots. I have been busy. Very busy. My husband needs to buy heating oil for the house up in the mountains. And so I need to have a big update this week so that we can afford to buy some heating oil because he's getting low and it's getting cold. So I dyed up as much as I could this weekend. I have more dyeing to do tonight. That's probably as much as I will be able to get done before the update, which will be Thursday, November 3rd at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. The reason for that is the fiber takes a while to dry, and I don't want to send you guys wet fiber, so it takes a while. So Tuesday will be my last dye night. Tonight will be my last dye night. I think tonight I'm working on Polworth. I might do some progressives. We'll see how it goes. I do have one surprise for you tonight. It's over on the drying rack. I'm not going to show it to you. So I do have a surprise set aside. I will tell you that it is a pair of skeins of yarn. It's a lace weight colorway. Not going to tell you what it is. I think there's enough here to tempt you even without that. But like I said, I like to give everybody an even chance. So when the update goes live, that will go live as well. And I'm not going to even post it. I'm going to work Wednesday night on the update and getting all of the photos on there, and they will all be listed as coming soon, except for the mystery fiber, which I won't post until the very end. So, also, the shop update will be Thursday night at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, which is my new update day. First class items, the single skeins, and sometimes pairs of skeins, will not ship until probably Saturday morning. I usually try and have a 24-hour turnaround, which would be Friday afternoon. However, I'm all out of my first class mailers, and I'm waiting on a UPS delivery for that to come from Associated Bag. I made the order. I think I made the order last night. I can't remember honestly if I made it last night or this morning, but I think it was last night I made the order. So they will have received it today, and they're super fast. Their shipping is amazing. Their customer service is amazing, but it does take time to get here. So we'll see. I'm going to keep leaning out of frame because I'm going to keep throwing the stuff in the tote so that it doesn't end up on the floor. But let's show you what I've been dyeing, shall we? If you don't want to be enabled, you need to click out for the next several minutes, probably 5 minutes, because I've got a lot to show you. Let's start with the sock yarn. I have basically each of these colorways have one skein that has been reskeined and the rest haven't. They look better reskeined. I've mentioned that like 1,000 times, but it's a lot of extra work, and it's not, as long as you guys can see the one of the reskeined versions, I don't think there's a point in reskeining the other two. Some people like to see it unreskeined because they like to see how long the color repeats are. I know, like, Amelia Bella of Keegan Lane Yarns has said that as well, and the His and Hers podcast has said that. But it's not an efficient use of my time. I can make more money if I spend the time that I would reskein and dye something new instead. So as long as I've got one of each colorway reskeined, I just don't think it's necessary. So this colorway is a new colorway. I may have dyed it once before. I can't remember. But if I did, it was not really big details. I can't remember much about it. Might have been for a show. This is called Throne Room. And let me twist this sideways here so you can see all three. Throne Room is a very hot, vibrant colorway. It is bright purple, violet purple. There's a little bit of blue there where the dye takes up. And then we've got this cherry sort of magenta, hot magenta color. It turns into a regular red here and then fades into a very bright, almost neon orange. So this is called Throne Room. All of the sock yarn this week is the sugar maple sock yarn. It's 75% superwashable, 25% nylon. This is the workhorse base. This fiber has recently become softer. I think it's getting put on a different type of cone now from my distributor. And at first I was upset because the cones aren't 3 pounds anymore. They're like 2.86 pounds or whatever. But the yarn is softer. So that's a good thing. So this is Throne Room. And you can see the rescanned version has got so many colors. Focus. I don't know why saying focus makes my camera focus, but sometimes it works. So that's Throne Room. Next up I have Through the Woods, which is a brand new colorway. My husband picked the colors. He said, I want a Red Riding Hood colorway. And I said, you want red yarn? And he said, no. I want like foresty greens and browns with some gray in there to signify the wolf and a little pop of red to be like Red Riding Hood is walking through the woods and the gray wolf, the big bad wolf, is following her. And I said, that's awesome. I'll do my best. This is the colorway that I came up with. Hang on, I gotta grab a hold of it. There we go. So this is Through the Woods. You can see on, I'll take one here. See on this one, we have the tree trunk brown, the foresty, woodsy, sprucey green. Here's the big bad wolf right here and all this gray. There's the little pop of Red Riding Hood, and then it just starts over. It goes from the brown into the green, the gray wolf, and then the red pop. When you reskein it, it's a lot more subtle of an effect. This is what much closer to what it will look like knit up. It's almost Christmassy to me, and I'm not sure why I think that, because it's meant to be more Halloweenish, you know, Big Bad Wolf, Little Red Riding Hood stuff. But I really like this colorway. I think that's very gender neutral, so if you have a man that you're knitting for, get him a pair of socks. Plum Crumble is a colorway that I have done before. This one is a custom. So I have 2 skeins of Plum Crumble. It's a nice sandy, taupey, creamy color. And then goes into a pale mauve and then a deeper purple. That looks like flecking, but it's really not. It's just on the tie. So it goes into that dark purple. So there's flecking right there, though. You see that red dot? Yay, flecking! I hate you, flecking. So this looks a little lighter on your screen than it looks in real life. It's more flesh colored in real life. It's Plum Crumble. Then I have another brand new colorway, and the colorway name is called Beach House. And I'm not gonna lie, when I first dyed this, and when I get inspired to do a colorway, I write it all down and sketch it all out and how it's going to look and where the colors are going to go. And then sometimes I leave it because if I need dyes to order or something, it could be weeks before I think this one's been months since I wrote it down. So I'd forgotten what the colorway looked like. So I followed the card, trusted my earlier work, and I came up with this. This is Beach House. Green, sort of a muted mustardy yellow, pale cream, some sand color, and then this violet purple. Now it doesn't really look like it goes right here. That purple looks too bright. And there's quite a bit of the cream in there, that almost undyed look. I was like, meh. I don't know anybody who's going to knit with something that has that much undyed area in the middle. Then I This is why I say that reskeinin magic. This is what it looks like reskeined. How freaking awesome is that yarn? I want it. I want to keep it. It reminds me a lot of pansies with the purple and the yellow and the dark green leaves. That's not what it's called. It's called beach house. This would focus if my arm wasn't so wiggly. Maybe it wouldn't. I'm on you. Here we go. Look at that. Lovely. Lovely yarn. I know you want that. Looks so much better than it does unreskeined. Beach house. So that's it for the sock yarn. I have a lot of lace yarn. I didn't grab it all to show you. I grabbed the new colorways. I did not grab the recurring colorways, but I have, if I turn and look, I have blue lobster, lilac, moss, spruce, wildflower, and one more that I can't, oh, granite is the other one. So I have those 6. I also have one that I have done before. This one is goldenrod. It's the bright yellow. A new colorway called what did I say I was going to call this? I think I said I was going to call it wild roses. This one is not reskeined. You can see there's chunks of purples and mauves and pinks, dusky roses. And this one has been reskeined. You can see the variation in the colors. It's kind of like wildflower and lupin had a baby. Oh yeah, there's a great big blue fleck right there. You see that? Lovely. If lupin, which is the Mommy Needs Yarn colorway, and wildflower had a baby, it would look exactly like this. It's a little bit darker than lupin, but a little bit lighter than wildflower. I was hoping for something much more drastically different than this, so this will be a one-time colorway. I'm not going to waste dyes on this if I can get similar effects with both. I did do lupin too, I think. I don't know if I mentioned that one or not. The other new colorway that I did in lace is this one. Now, I asked my husband what kind of green this looked like to him. It's very olivey kinds of greens. It's not sprucey at all. It's much more olivey on the yellow end. And here's it reskeined. I said, honey, what does this remind you of? And he said, green. And I said, that's not very helpful. All of my lace colorways are things that exist in Maine. I said, can you please tell me what this looks like to you? And he said, it looks like seaweed. Genius. But I didn't want to just call it seaweed because seaweed could come anywhere. So I said, get on to Google and use your Google foo and come up with a New England or Maine seaweed. The seaweed that looked the most like this green is called Dead Man's Fingers. That's what I'm calling it. I'm going with it. It has other names, aliases like Oyster Thief, which I kind of liked. But the actual name for the seaweed is called Dead Man's Fingers. So this is called Dead Man's Fingers. I have 2 skeins of this. All of the lace weight that is going up in the shop update this week is the black cherry lace, which is 100% fine merino. So that's it for lace. Now, I did do a little bit of fiber. I have much more to do tonight. I have another 3 or 4 colorways of fiber to do tonight in Polworth, I believe. So we'll see how that goes. It's already 6 o'clock. We'll see how it goes. I did some mixed BFL, just one colorway of mixed BFL. This is called, actually, I don't know what this is called. New Saris, I think. I don't remember. I think it's called New Sari. This is bright gold and a purplish mahogany kind of color. I love how the mixed BFL, that oatmeal and the ecru fibers together create a varied effect in the tones. I love what that does to the color. So this is called New Saris. I did another pair of braids in the Superwash Merino. in the roses in high definition colorway, it is this bright. It is like, hoo boy, holy crap, bright. Sunshine yellow. There's an orange in there that bleeds into red because it interacts with the pink. There's some pink in there. It's very bright. Superwash merino, 4 ounces. Happy, happy, happy fiber. You can't smush it, first of all, and be unhappy. But it's just so bright and happy. You can't spin this and be like, oh, life sucks. This is so bad. You have to be like, yay, look at my fiber. It's so pretty. I have no idea what you would knit this into. A hat, maybe, for a kid? Doesn't matter. It's just happy. And then I also did the throne room colorway. I had extra dye, so I did the throne room colorway in Superwash BFL. Superwash BFL is a perennial favorite of mine. I love to spin it. It's very versatile. It's very smooth. It's very beautiful. And this is throne room. I meant to do throne room in the fiber as a progressively dyed. Totally forgot until I'd already dumped dye all over it. I was like, oh, crap. So I will be doing it again as a progressive, but I didn't this time. So this is throne room in Superwash BFL. Is that it? I just have the secret colorway that I haven't showed you. That's all. Okay. Processes. I thought I would talk a little bit about how I write up patterns, because I just have that new lined beanie pattern that just came out, and I know that there are a lot of people who have ideas in their heads and they maybe aren't so sure about how to get their patterns out there. So this is just how the process works for me. This does not in any way, shape, or form imply that this is how it's going to work for you or for anybody else. I can only share what I know. So when I create a pattern, for example, the lined beanie pattern, I find the need. So I usually design out of a need to create something specific. My husband wanted a warm hat for working outside in Maine sub-zero temperatures, in very windy conditions. So then I think about what works best. Okay, great. Got this lined beanie idea with the brim that folds under. Terrific. When I just cast on. I just go for it. I don't do a swatch. I should, but usually I have a fairly good idea of the sizing. I just go with it. So I start knitting, and I take really great notes as I'm writing. How many stitches do I cast on? How many rows is there for the ribbing? How long before I do the purl ridge to flip the hat? How far do I go? What rows do I do the hats? I take really, really good notes. If I'm working on a pattern that has a chart, like those trellis socks that I'm doing, I do the chart on graph paper in pencil so that I can make any changes that I need to the rough copy without having a big, huge deal. There are free software opportunities on the web if you want to do a charting software. There's also several like Entwined that are a small cost, and some more expensive ones like Knit Visualizer, which I think is like $200. But there's all kinds of charting software out there, so you can definitely find it. Wendy Knits, super popular Wendy Johnson, uses a knitting font in Microsoft Word. That's all she uses. It doesn't have to be a big complicated thing. Let's see. Once my knitting is done and my notes are done, I get some good photographs. These are the photographs that I'm going to use for the pattern. I want to have them before I start to write up the pattern so I know where on the page they're going to go, how big they're going to be. I want to know all that first. So I get the item photographed. Sometimes this takes the longest because I'm not good at photographing myself. So a lot of the time I have to wait for somebody else to photograph. Either I take their picture or they're able to take my picture. So I do that. I open up a blank Microsoft Word document. I'm a PC. I have Microsoft Word. I open up a Word document. In the header and the footer, I put the same stuff every time. The header says Highland Handmades design in the same fonts that is consistent across patterns. And the footer says, you know, copyright Heather Kinney and the year, and that it's all rights reserved for personal non-commercial use only. For the pay patterns, I do a little bit more elaborate stuff. I have block headers and bars and colored details and themes and stuff. I don't do that for the free patterns because it's more work than it's worth. So I also do my notes on 2 columns because line directions are usually pretty short. So if you use 2 columns on the page instead of just one and right all the way across, you waste less space. So, oh, there's my heat. Sorry about that's going to be loud. Sorry. I'll speak up. I do insert a text box of a different color that has the materials that I use, any, what the yarns are, gauge, any materials I need. That little box of like the nitty gritty stuff that you need to create the pattern, I always do that in a colored text box on the first page. Just makes it pop out a little bit easier, makes it easier for people to see. When I'm writing the directions, I try very hard to write like I speak. Meaning, it's a very conversational pattern. I'll say, the next thing you're going to do is blah, blah, blah. If there's a stitch that you're doing that looks weird, that looks counterintuitive, I say that. This stitch is going to look strange. Don't worry about it. Keep going. The Icarus shawl that I knit from Miriam Felton has this section in the border where you've been purling this stitch for like 15 rows, and then in the next row you knit it. Well, I'm sorry, that totally screwed me up because I didn't understand why all of a sudden this purl stitch that's been a purl for 15 rows is now all of a sudden knit. I thought that I had miscounted. I thought I was off a stitch. I ripped it out. I did it again. I ripped it out. I did it again. I ripped it out. I did it again. And finally I was like, screw it, I'm just going to keep going. Because I knew it wasn't something that I was doing wrong and there was no errata listed. Turns out you were supposed to change that stitch to a knit stitch. If there had just been an explanation of, hey, we're going to switch this stitch to this other one, it would have saved me an awful lot of work and anxiety. So when I create patterns, if I'm asking you to do something weird, I try very hard to explain it and say this, point out to say this is a weird thing. In the trellis socks, on the right hand side of the sock, you lose the right angled slip stitch, but then it's another whole row before you pick it up on the other side, and so they're not even. They're not symmetrical, the sides, and I have to mention that in the pattern. That don't expect that when you get rid of one, you're going to get it on the other, because that's not how it works. Excuse me. I don't know if that just made any sense to you or not, but that's what I do, because I feel like it's important to have a conversation with the knitter. Let's see. Once I've done all that, I play with the spacing, I play with the fonts, I play with the alignment, I play with the margins, anything I can do so that stuff ends in reasonable ways. If I have a picture in the middle of the page, I don't want all this yada, 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 and then 2 words underneath the picture. That's a stupid place to put a picture. So I will wiggle around with whatever I can so that the text is where it needs to be on the page. Once everything is the way I want it, and it's all set, I save it as a PDF. Now, there's a couple of different ways you can do that depending on the software that you have. If you have software installed on your computer like Primo PDF, for example, you can save as a PDF or you can print to a PDF, and either way you get this PDF file created. If you don't have any of that software and maybe you're in a hurry or you don't write patterns often or you just want to do this once, there are a lot of very free and easy convert your file into PDF sites on the web. All you have to do is type in convert to PDF, and you can get a bunch of responses, and it will tell you how to convert a file into a PDF file. Super easy. I think with this hat, that's what I did. I did it via the web instead of download. My laptop doesn't have the PDF software on it yet, so yeah. The reason to save it as a PDF is that everybody can view a PDF. Doesn't matter if you're Mac or PC or whatever, everybody can view a PDF file, so it's very convenient. And that's what Ravelry asks you for, actually, is a PDF file. Once I have it saved as a PDF, it goes out to test knitters. I'm very specific in what I'm looking for when I send to test knitters. I'm very fortunate that I have some fantastic, quick, awesome test knitters. And I will say, please please make sure that my written directions and my charts match? Or can you please see if my measurements are right, that you really do need to go up 5.5 inches, or does it need to be 6 inches? Do these measurements work out with the gauge? When you get the gauge, is it right? So I ask for very specific feedback, and that's generally what I get. Like I said, I have awesome test knitters. Once I have, and I usually have 4 or 5 test knitters, as soon as I've heard back from at least like 3 of my test knitters, I will go ahead and start getting the stuff set up on Ravelry. Ravelry can be a freaking pain to get a pattern up if you're not clicking in the right spot. I had troubles with this line beanie pattern. You save it, you link your own project, because of course I have a project on my project page of the pattern, so I link that so that when people look at the pattern it will say that there's at least one project. If my test knitters have done an awesome job, which they always have, I try and include their pictures on the main project page so that other people can see what non-designers have knit for the hat. Make sure that I've entered the yarn and the needles and all that stuff, as many links as I can get, all the tagging, all of the categorizing, all that's done. And then by the time the pattern's ready and I'm ready to go, all I do is click submit and away she goes, and it's available as a download on Rav. Excuse me, I don't know why I'm yawning. Oh, there's my heaters off now. Thank you. And then all I do once it's up is I keep checking it daily. I keep going to my projects and my designs and see how many hearts does it have, how many projects does it have, are people posting pictures of the projects? Like, I'm a geek like that. I just want to know what people are knitting. So if you've knit the line beanie pattern, you should link it to the line beanie pattern on Rav, and that way I can see pictures. Thanks. All right, growth. I already told you I'm having a big update this week. That's it really for growth. I haven't done anything other than just working on the update. Makes me happy. I hope you guys will shop the update this week. Thursday, 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, November 3rd. Stop yawning. Okay. Grab your hands. What am I, 37 minutes? And this is going to be a longer episode this week because holy crap, do I have a lot of grabby hands. I'm actually going to sit closer. Oh, my hair is lovely. Okay. So, I got a bunch of mail this week. My husband got it all at the house in the mountains, and he was like, "Did you order all this?" And I'm like, "Maybe." "Well, are you getting anything else?" "Maybe." An embarrassment of riches, really. So, the first thing that I got was something that I've mentioned before. I ordered some yarn from Knit Picks. I ordered their palette, and this is actually the first time I will have ordered their palette. I got 2 greens. This one is Tarragon, and this one is Aurora Heather. They are some beautiful greens. This one's a very pea soup green, and this one is a bluish green, heathered green. I have 2 skeins of each of these. The project that I specifically bought them for is the Cthulhu mittens. Cthulhu mittens, depending on who you say. This is a mitten pattern, and this is going to be what I create for my brother for Christmas. This Tarragon is going to be Cthulhu, and the background is going to be the dark green. So I just want to work on these colorwork mittens so bad, but I can't until the beanie is done and the sweater is done. Beanie, sweater is done. Mittens are next. Because I wanted to get free shipping, and because Knit Picks was having a 40% off sale, I decided that I needed to get 3 new knitting books. Now, to be fair, all 3 knitting books have been extensively reviewed on the web by podcasters. My webcam's a little high. I'm sorry. I'm going to push this down just a little bit. That's better. Now look. Oh, let's see my floor. Okay. These books have all been reviewed. Like I said, I'm not going to give full reviews of them. I will give you my opinion on them as I go through them. The only one that I've gone all the way through is the first one. So I have My Grandmother's Knitting, Family Stories and Inspired Knits from Top Designers by Larissa Brown. I got Teeny Tiny Moshi Moshi, more than 40 itty bitty minis to knit, wear, and give from Anna Hrachovic. I don't know. This is kind of a whimsy thing. One, I needed some quick projects to knit, but two, I think it's going to be good office gifts, things, school gifts, things to give to coworkers and stuff like that. Really, I'm a process knitter and I want to get more technical with my knitting, so that's what this book is for. And the third one, da, 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 is Wendy Knits Lace by Wendy D. Johnson. This is a book that I kind of hand in hot about getting because, don't get me wrong, I absolutely love Wendy Johnson patterns, but I know from reading other people's reviews and hearing other people's reviews that it's kind of like an introduction to lace. Wendy does great beginner lace, but I don't, after Even Star, identify myself as a lace beginner. The reason I ended up getting it is because it's a lot of lace in non-lace weight yarns. Fingering weight yarns, DK weight yarns. I think there's even some worsted weight yarns. And I like the idea of knitting lace not just with lace. I already have at least one project picked out. I'm going to be knitting the Poor Poets mitts for gifts for Christmas. So pretty, but I'm going to be doing it in Highland Handmades yarn. The SSKers have a knit along going on right now, and Wendy Johnson is the designer du jour, so I am going to be knitting, I think, those mitts very soon as part of the knit along. I think I have until the end of November for the knit along, so that will also be a Christmas gift. So I set up my Christmas knitting list. I am bat crap crazy because there's no way I'm getting 12 knitting projects done between now and Christmas. I don't know what I'm thinking. Why do I do this to myself every year? Every year I say, I'm done. I'm not knitting anybody anything for Christmas anymore. Blah, blah, blah. And then every year I go back on it and knit people stuff for Christmas. So anyway, My Grandmother's Knitting, I really, really enjoyed. I've read the first half of the book is set up as stories, the family stories from knitters, contemporary sort of big names in knitting. Jared Flood, Anne Swanson. Oh, who else is in it? It says it right on the cover. Why don't I look? Cookie A, Ann Hansen. There's a lot. Isolde Teague. I like the family stories because you get a really nice additional view of both the knitter who's speaking and, like in Meg Swanson's case, you get information about Elizabeth Zimmerman, and this was new. These were new details for me, so it's really, it gives you a really nice connection with the knitters. I don't hear a whole lot about Jared Flood's life, so it was nice to see, like, talked about his dad and how he knit, how he made really cool stuff. So, and there's all pictures. There's great family pictures, like old school family pictures. Look at that hair. I love it. It talks really about the inspiration and how even if their parents and grandparents weren't who taught them to knit, they were who taught them to be creative. And I think that's very true. I think that it's not just about who taught you to knit, but who instilled in you the sense of creativity that allowed you to access the avenue of knitting. So that's the first part. And I really like that. That actually stayed in my bathroom. And I read it every time I had. They're short stories, so you're in there for a minute or two, and you read a story and then put it back down and go on. The section is called Inspired Knits, and these are all the patterns. I was a little sad that not every pattern had a big story that went with it. Like Hannah Breitz, who did the Storm Cloud Shawlette, didn't have a story in the other section, but that's okay. I suppose you don't have to, but some people did. There were some things that I loved, absolutely loved. I'm trying to show you the first thing that I'm going to knit from it. And of course, it's not a great picture of the pattern. Maybe the next page is. Hang on. No, you can't really see them very well in this picture, but they're called fiddler's mitts. I may or may not be learning to play the violin here come the beginning of the year next year. So if I can manage that, I need a suitably awesome pair of fiddler's mitts. Here's a better picture. Colorwork, fingerless mitts, done in 2 colors of what I think is sport weight wool or DK weight wool. Yep, love them. That pattern is by Isolde Teague, whose grandfather played the violin. So this is my grandmother's knitting. I absolutely would recommend this book. I got it for 40% off. The cover price is $22.50. If you can get it on sale, definitely. It has, geez, I don't know how many patterns. I should have checked that. I should have had notes for how many patterns there were in here. I'm sorry. There's this many. There's this many patterns. That's a lot of patterns, and they're good, but they're not all things you would knit, like the ice skating cape. Just saying. The stories are a little overwritten. Let me give you an example. Oh, I'm not going to knock that one. That one's a good one. This is a perfect example of the art of overstatement that I think this book does have a little bit of. When Wendy Bernard was a little girl, her grandma Helen would make her liverwurst or ham sandwiches for lunch. She and Wendy would sit and eat while Helen knit slippers with pom-poms among the nudes. And it goes on to talk about how Helen's husband is a sculptor of naked ladies. But really, among the nudes, like, you had to just drop that little written bomb into there. It's a little overwritten, but like I said, they're short, they're quick, they're like crackers. They go pretty quickly. So I would recommend it, even though that one teeny tiny drawback. So my grandmother's knitting, Family Stories and Inspired Knits from Top Designers by Larissa Brown. I will talk about the other 2 books in coming weeks as I actually work from them. You already know that I think Wendy Johnson's books are really good. I use her socks from the Toe Up book more than any other book. I love her stuff. I love the illustrations. But I'll talk more in detail about that, hopefully next week. Okay. That was just knit picks. That's not even all I've ordered. Plurk is going to be the reason I list on my bankruptcy paperwork. Because Plurk is so full of enabling, it's ridiculous. And it's not all me. Despite what Katie and Tina and all of my other friends may have told you, it is not just me doing the enabling. On somebody else's Plurk, innocent Plurk, somebody said, "Help, I need something bright to spin." One of this person's Plurk friends happens to be Sugar Bee Studios, which is the lovely woman behind Politically Incorrect Fibers. Politically Incorrect Fibers was the company that I received that Colton bat from, that beautiful purple, blue, pink, and white bat that I spun up into progressive skeins that I showed you several weeks ago. Yeah. I am a sucker for those bats. I love the colors. I love the fibers. They're beautifully presented. And she showed a picture of 7 of them. I was done for. As soon as I saw the picture, I was like, oh, crap. That's the sound of my willpower, like, giving up and running out the back door, screaming. She had all 7 pictures, and I said to my husband, I sent the picture to my husband, and I said, "Can you please pick one? Because I want one." And he was like, "Are you spinning this up to sell the hand spun?" And I said, "Well, I could, or I could just get one because I really want one." Now, I happened to catch him at just the right moment because he just bought a concert ticket. So he was like, "I guess that's only fair. If I buy the concert ticket, that you get to get fiber." Yay! So I messaged Sugar Bee Studios, and I said, "I want the second one down on the left." This was the second one down on the left. This is one of her one night stand fiber bats, which is a one-of-a-kind bat. This is 4.7 ounces of merino, nylon, and faux cashmere. Retail price is $33. That's not what I paid for it. I paid a little bit less. She gave me a bit of a deal. And I paid her with PayPal and she shipped it out to me. So soft. Wonderful. This colorway's name is called Jasper, and I find that very ironic because the last bat's name was Colton. I have a 16-year-old neighbor named Colton. I this year have a 16-year-old student named Jasper. I'm not picking these colorways because of the names. It just happens to be that Colton and Jasper aren't actually boys, 16 years old, that I actually know. People are going to start to talk about me because that's just a little bit weird. Weird, I tell you. Weird. But yeah, look at how happy that is. And I will probably be spinning this the exact same way, which is as a progression from the light to the dark, and I will have 2 equal skeins of that. Probably. If I can bring myself to spin it up because it's so pretty. Probably should show you the label. I'm sorry. I keep forgetting to do that. This is from Politically Incorrect Fibers. There's the logo. Sorry, my husband just texted me. I have no idea what he just said, though. Oh, he said, mwah. He gave me a kiss. What a sweet man he is. And then this is the information about the politically correct one-night stand fiber bats. Their website is www.politicallyincorrectfibers.com. And it's politically incorrect, not politically correct, just in case I mumbled that. Let's go. All right. I mentioned that last week. My husband and I went to Kilby Ridge Farm, which is a farm in Dennysville, Maine, and my friend Katie met us there. Dennysville, Maine is like extreme down east. If this is the tip of Maine, you go all the way to the tip and then start to go up a little bit. It's about an hour and 15 minutes from where my apartment is on the coast. I follow the Kilby Ridge blog. Kilby Ridge Farm says, a sustainable and humanely raised Icelandic lamb, fiber, poultry, and fresh produce. They're farmers that sustainably raise animals and vegetables. Terrific. I really like the buy local feel of this part of the state, and I really like that they hook up with other farmers that do things that they don't, and together they sell packages of stuff. So Mark and Violet Willis are the owners of Kilby Ridge Farm, and they have a blog, and once a week or so they post, here's what the buying club has, here's what we're doing at the farm, here's what's going on. And last week they posted pictures of the fall shearing of their Icelandic sheep. Now, Icelandic sheep are sheared twice a year, once in the spring and once again in the fall. Their fiber goes back very quickly. They're not in any way harmed by the fall shearing. They grow their coats back plenty quickly. They have a nice warm barn. These animals are not cold. But the fall shearing is great because they've been outside all summer, so they don't have a lot of hay and veggie matter and other crap in their fiber. The fiber is very clean. Fall is the time to get Icelandic sheep fleece. I've worked with Icelandic sheep fleece a little bit in a commercially processed way, but not with any raw wool. So I looked at the blog and looked at all of the pictures of the shearing that had happened. And went, oh my God, want. I'm doing the fiber study. I want some Icelandic fleece anyway because it's a rare fleece and very interesting, and I had to have some. So again, I messaged my husband and I said, do you like any of these? And he says, because he likes Icelandic fleece to begin with. He likes the look of it. Icelandic fleece is a dual-coated fleece. The sheep are dual-coated. They have a tog and a thell, and the tog is the outer coarser, longer sort of a guard hair, and then the thell is the shorter, fluffier, warmer, softer, downy undercoat. So depending on the type of sheep, they could have a very exaggerated difference between the tog and thell. They could have a very minute difference between tog and thell. It all depends on the sheep, but anyways, he likes the breed, so he said, I like Cookie. And I said, that's interesting. He says, yeah, I don't usually like brown fleece, but I like Cookie. And I said, okay, if you get Cookie, I'm getting Kate. And he said, okay. These are 2 lamb's fleece. This one is Cookie. It's 13.6 ounces, so it's just under a pound, which for lambs, Icelandic are small sheep, so this is a lamb's fleece, and it's very well skirted. It's pretty good. So here's Cookie, and you can see the fiber there. It's a darker, closer to the bottom, and it has a lighter top. Now, if you pull this, let me show you. If you pull this apart a little bit, you'll see that the tog is a longer sort of wiry hair. Let's see if you can see that against my. This is the tog, and the thell is this shorter, softer, sort of fluffier bit. So this is not a very exaggerated tog thell split here, but that's Cookie. Nice and brown, dark brown with lighter tips. And then the one that I bought is more sort of a buttercream color. Also a lamb's fleece. This is Kate, and it is just about 12.5 ounces. And hers is a little bit, I didn't grab a really good lock to show you, but her tog and thell looks like this. It's a lot. This is about where the tog ends. Sorry, the thell ends, and then you've got the tog. You can really see how the lock is very broad here, and then it shortens really quickly and goes to the tip. So here's the difference between these are the tog fibers, long, wiry kind of, and these are the thell fibers, very short and fluffy. So don't know yet how I'm going to process that. Don't know if I'm going to send it to my fiber processor. Don't know and have it carded into roving. Don't know if I'm going to try it myself. Don't know. Don't care. It's beautiful. But I didn't just stop at the fleece. I ordered those online. I emailed the owner, Violet, and I said, wow, these are really pretty. I really want these too, and we can do it however you like. However, I am only an hour and a half, less than an hour and a half away. I'd be happy to pick them up for you. And P.S., I have a blog and a podcast, and I'm doing this stuff, so I'd really be happy to give you a shout out, you know, if you let me take some pictures of your sheep. I just wanted to snorkel a little sheepies. She messaged me back. She was like, of course you can. Come on out to the farm on Saturday. We're sharing the sheep. You'll be able to see the befores and afters. You'll blah, blah, blah. And I was like, oh, God, yay. So I told my husband that that's what I wanted to do on Saturday, and for the price of making him some pumpkin chocolate chip whoopie pies, he agreed. So I made them pumpkin chip whoopie pies on Friday night, and Saturday we drove out to the farm. She didn't just have sheep fleece. Oh, no, because she sells the fleece. So she had fleece. She had the skins, which I just can't buy sheepskins from a poor little dead baby sheep. Even though that some of these sheep are being raised for meat, I can't do it. But they were beautiful sheepskins. She had yarn, and she had processed fiber. First thing my husband decided was that he wanted this yarn. This is 2 skeins of a heavy worsted / bulky weight Lopi style yarn. I think Lopi's an Icelandic company, and if that's the case, then Icelandic fleece seems to me to be a perfect fit there. These are each going to become a sock for him. Winter socks, heavy boot socks for snow blowing and stuff like that. That's going to be for Christmas. That's one of his Christmas gifts. Hopefully, on that size with big needles, they will go very fast. I also bought some loose roving. This is a beautiful brown, sort of a caramel brown, and it has, I'm not sure if you can see, but there's little pops of lighter colors in there as well. It's a nice thick roving that combines the tog and thell together, so all you have to do is spin it. It's all done. All the work's done for you. It's clean. Katie bought 4 ounces of roving. Ask her about it. She got a really beautiful one, actually. I was a little jealous that was the only one they had, but I have raw fibers, so I'm good. All variably reasonably priced. I spent less than $100 for 2 fleece, 2 skeins of yarn, and the 4 ounces of processed fiber. Very reasonable. Violet does have more shearing to do. We left before they started the shearing. We kind of want to get out of their way because they hadn't even eaten breakfast by the time we got there. So this is their card. Kilby Ridge Farm. You can visit the blog at kilbyridgefarmmaine.blogspot.com. And I'm sorry, I'm so wiggly. And on the blog, they have pictures of the fleece that you can buy, and there will be more coming too. I have pictures of the sheepies. Oh my God, they're so adorable. They're these long, hairy coated sheep, and they don't have any fiber on their legs or their faces, so they have these narrow little stick legs, and they have these beautiful, almost goat-like faces and these really round, curly horns. They're gorgeous. One of them, his name was Sumo. He was a bottle-fed baby. He didn't care about his little sheepy friends. He just wanted to love you. We went up to the pen. I scratched his face. He was like, oh, that feels good. Scratched behind his head, behind his horn, scratched around his cheeks. He gave me a little kiss. Oh my God. If I could have brought him home, I would. I just loved him so much. He was adorable. He's going to a good home. They assured me that he is not going to go to the meat processor, but he's a good sheep, great temperament. So he's gonna continue life elsewhere. So that makes me happy. Their rams were beautiful. They have 3 rams that they divide out. They use among them, and the ewes were beautiful too. But man, those rams were gorgeous. I took some pictures. I don't know how well the pictures came out. I haven't checked them yet, but they will be on the blog, the HighlandHandmades.com blog, so you can check those out in a couple days once I get that done. And check out our visit to Kilby Ridge Farm. If you would like to try Icelandic fleece, especially if you don't mind if it's raw, check out Kilby Ridge Farm because their fleece is incredibly clean. Again, this is the fall shearing, so there's not a lot of veggie matter. And they skirt their fleeces very well. There's very little anything in this stuff. Way cleaner than the Southdown that I got from the spinning loft. Way cleaner. Smells a little sheepy, but really good, healthy, clean, sheepy smell. So, again, that's kilbyridgefarmmaine.blogspot.com. If I ever get back in the show notes business, that'll be linked in the show notes. I'll pop that up there just again in case you need to see it. Maybe. There it is. kilbyridgefarmmaine.blogspot.com. Tell them I sent you. Tell them Heather sent you. Maybe I can get a free fleece. Not that I'm all about getting free stuff. Okay, now that I'm an hour and 2 minutes in, let me check my notes and make sure that's even it because I don't even know if that's it. Yep, that's it. I have 2 more packages that I've received this week. One from my friend Lori Bean. Yay! And one from my friend Lisa from Fiber Nymph Dye Works, the second Trifecta Club yarn. Yay! I will show you those next week because I don't have them yet. They are coming to me with my husband once this weekend gets here. So make sure you check out the update Thursday night at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. If you see something you want, get those clicking fingers ready. I'm not going to reserve anything. I'm going to just let everybody have at. And don't forget there's going to be a special bonus pair of lace weight skeins if you're interested. Until next week, guys, happy spinning and knitting, and thanks for tuning in.